You ready, Katrina?
Ready. I'm
Okay,
so
awesome.
ready.
Awesome. So I want to welcome everyone to the Street Dog Podcast. And this podcast is brought to you by the Street Dog Coalition, a nationwide and now global nonprofit that cares for lives on both ends of the leash by providing free medical care and related services to pets of people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. I am your host, Daria Tavana, and I'm also the Director of Development at the Street Dog Coalition. And if you're joining us live, go ahead and drop an emoji in the chat box, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from, and don't hesitate to ask us a question if you feel inspired to. And on this brand new podcast, live podcast, we are going to explore the world of animal welfare through the eyes of experts, Street Dog Coalition vets, and volunteers. And we're going to be sharing inspiring stories, providing updates on our advocacy work, and giving you an inside look at the challenges and rewards of working to improve the lives of animals belonging to people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. And if you're tuning in live on Facebook, it's great to have you here. And we really appreciate your support and love connecting with you live in this way. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, please make sure that you're following the Street Dog Coalition on Facebook so that you can also tune in live every episode. And that will give you the opportunity to engage with us in real time, which we love to do. And on today's inaugural episode, I have Katrina Weschler here, who is the Executive Director at Street Dog Coalition. Katrina, please say hello.
Hello, listeners. It is so fun to do this. Thank you.
Yay. You're welcome, Katrina. Tell us a little bit about where you are right now. I see green. I see a beautiful backyard. Where are you?
I am in Ashland, Oregon. A little bit about me. I am engaged to the most amazing woman. She's a travel nurse. So it's fun. We get to travel every about 6 months or so. We relocate to another part of the country. And for me, that's really exciting because now we have teams across the country. Unfortunately, we don't have a team in Ashland, Oregon. But if a vet is listening and lives nearby and would like to start a team, please reach out. We will work with you. So I'm currently in a rental house, and it does have a backyard, and my dogs are over here bathing in the sun and chewing on bones. So if they bark,
what are their names again?
We have Ferdinand, who is a mixed breed 10-year-old pitty mix, and Hammy, who we think is a little chow, maybe beagle, Shar-Pei. She's basically a platypus. She's a lot of weird things together, but she's adorable. And she's
platypus.
Together, their like couple name is Ferd and Ham.
I love that.
Ferd and Ham.
I love it. That's fantastic. And Katrina, now that we know the most important stuff about you, like where you are and your dog's names, can you also tell us a little bit about what you do at SDC and why is what you do so meaningful?
Oh, definitely. Well, I'll first tell you how I got started with SDC. So Street Dog Coalition was founded in Fort Collins in 2015 by a vet named John Geller. And John was running these street clinics once a week at the day shelter where I was volunteering, and I was in graduate school. I was volunteering at this homeless day shelter because I was very interested in the human-animal bond because I was so attached to my dog. And I wanted to illustrate that through a photo voice project. And I felt like I needed to immerse myself in the community and gain people's trust and not just go in blind and interview folks and ask if I could photograph their, pet and them together. Instead, I really wanted to establish myself and gain their trust. So naturally, I ran into John Geller. We were introduced, similar, focus, and we got to meet, and I started volunteering with his team, which at the time was him and a vet tech, doing clinics out in the garden. And obviously that has blossomed, and my role with him snowballed from volunteer to intern to sort of director of creative strategy, which was a title I just made up. And eventually
I love it.
That led to a lot of hats. John and I wore a ton of hats, which any nonprofit does. Anybody in the nonprofit world, you hear that time and time again.
Yeah.
But eventually the board of directors decided we need to sort of create a strategy. I think we call that a strategic plan. So we've had strategic plans over the years, but the most recent ones have been very robust in trying to build Street Dog Coalition into what it has become, this national and now global nonprofit. And we really need to focus on, we always say, helping both ends of the leash. And that does include our staff, our people that are helping, coordinate, organize, manage, do all of the good stuff. So as executive director, I'm kind of the conductor of an amazing orchestra, and I get to interact with everybody who plays a role in a really important part. And it's fun for me because I like bringing it all together and seeing it kind of from top down. But I think we're all lateral. Our organization is so cool because everybody is given a lot of responsibility, and we respect everybody for what they do and what they bring to the table. And even though I'm looking at it, big picture, I'm not managing it top to bottom, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It together, and it feels very much like a team. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have, our staff. Some are very new hires, and a board of directors that is so supportive, and is able to think of our big, vision, who is completely supportive of our mission, but also understands how important our vision is and how we need everything sustainable. So I became executive director in 2022, and here we are, 2023, and we are making moves, but it's great. It's absolutely wonderful. And we're kind of a scrappy group. And I like that. Everybody's heart is in it, and we're doing good work. And I'm sure we'll get to this, but we couldn't do it without the fleet, and I mean fleet, of volunteers, which is just
This is that's such an incredible. I always love hearing you talk about the journey that you went on, in terms of starting as a volunteer, really like linking arms with John to increase the impact and help even more people and more animals. And now your role as executive director. I can't believe that you've only been in this role since 2022, because it's very obvious, me as a relatively new hire, that you have really elevated the organization from a place from in many different facets, from increasing the awareness that people have about the organization to increasing the impact. And I love it. I feel lucky to be here. And I'm also excited to hear you mention that it really takes a village. It really takes a fleet of volunteers, a small dedicated board, small dedicated group of staff members. But also something that we'll be kind of touching on here and there today is it takes a lot of generous donors, right? It takes a lot of people willing to open their hearts, open their minds, open their wallets, and really put their money where their mouth is, and provide us with funds that we need in order to do this incredible work. So I just want to not only thank you, Katrina, but also thank all of the donors, the potential donors, and the volunteers that, of course, give their time to the Street Dog Coalition, for tuning in today, and for all of the incredible efforts that they have given us, because the impact, I think, is almost feels immeasurable, and we're just really, really grateful for those folks.
Oh man, well said. Absolutely. Couldn't do this without them. 100%.
And I'm curious to know, Katrina, can you share with me, maybe, I know there are so many success stories, but when you hear the word success story, Street Dog Coalition, what is like one of the most memorable experiences or success stories that come to mind for you in the years that you've been working at Street Dog? I know it's a lot.
There's so many. There are so many. And I think the one I'll speak about, because we just talked about the incredible community of donors and supporters, is a very recent success story that happened Mother's Day weekend. And it involves a dog named Jethro, who is living in a vehicle with his person and got into some takeout containers that had old chicken bones. And those are not the bones we want dogs to eat. And he ingested these bones and was taken to University of Illinois Veterinary Hospital. they knew to call our Chicago team lead, told her the situation, and she was able to give the green light to help Jethro using funds that were earmarked for our Chicago team from the Midwest Fur Fest. And this was the highlight of maybe my year, going to Midwest Fur Fest in Chicago last December. They picked the Street Dog Coalition as their charity, their beneficiary. I had not known about the Midwest Fur Fest. I had not known about sort of the furry community, and they welcomed us with the biggest, warmest, furriest arms. And we just became a part of their community for the weekend. And my face hurt for like a week because I was smiling so hard. It was just impossible not to feel the love from this group. And what they were able to donate just blew our minds, exploded our hearts. And Chicago is set. They are good for a while. They have funds to help, obviously, all the dogs that come to our clinics, but also, and cats. Let's not forget the cats, but also this dog, this 3-year-old, 4-year-old Pitty, who otherwise maybe couldn't have been helped. And it's such a success when you can say yes, when funds are not a question, when they're there and you can tap into them right away, because sometimes it is an emergency and you have to make that decision. And people don't have the ability to call friends and family for those extra dollars. They literally have nothing. So that was a success. Jethro is back. He is reunited with his person. The fact that it happened Mother's Day weekend, huge shout out to Chicago team lead Stacy, who took the call on Mother's Day. And also our actually board president, who worked with Stacy to get it all going on, Dr. Kathy Meklinski, who is a team lead herself in Buffalo. So it took a team, everybody stepped up, Jethro was helped, and huge shout out to Midwest Fur Fest. We love those furries and everything that they're.
I remember. Thank you for sharing that. And I remember whenever, first of all, I've seen pictures of Jethro. Jethro is doing incredibly well, seems very happy and healthy. And on the mend. And I remember when you mentioned Fur Fest, I assumed it was like a pet festival, a dog festival. And then you were like, no, these are furries. These are fellow nerds just like us.
Yeah, they're amazing.
LARP loving people. And I got even more excited. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah. I think that speaks to the reach of our mission. And I think that speaks a lot to how important people find the work that we do in terms of supporting and helping pets of people who are experiencing homelessness. It's always exciting when we get a new kind of supporter from like left field, right? From a totally different lane. So I love that. I love that. And I see that there are a handful of people who are tuning in live. So again, if you're here, let us know. Drop a dog emoji, or if you're like me and you're secretly a cat lady, drop a cat emoji. We like all animals here. Let us know that you're here. And Katrina, so this is so cool. So that sounds like an incredible memory. One that, me new here, just being on those emails, I think will also stick with me for a long time. So I'm curious, if we were to kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, look at the entirety of the last maybe year, what is the biggest accomplishment? I know, so it's a loaded question, that SDC has achieved just in the past year.
Okay. No, this one I can actually answer, no problem. Every clinic is an accomplishment. Every clinic, every pet we help is a success story. And typically when we roll out a new program, we like to have the funds for that program ahead of time. It's like, okay, we had this idea, we planted the seed, we nurtured it, we watered it, we let it grow, we got the funds, we can do this. But obviously when the war broke out in Ukraine, nobody had planted the seed to do Operation Ukraine. That was not in our mind. We, really thought we were going to stay in the US, but there was a need that John identified, which was pets of refugees fleeing Ukraine. Those people have now lost their homes, at least for a period of time. So they are experiencing a risk of homelessness. And at the border, they would have had to relinquish their pet if they didn't have all their up-to-date vaccines and You need a pet passport. So, I mean, that's just the worst thing in the world. I mean, to have to face that potential of letting go of your pet without a true, I think, guarantee that you would be reunited. Like, nobody should have to face that. So
Yeah.
without the funds, we just launched Operation Ukraine. We obviously asked people to donate. We hoped the money would come in, and it did. It was just remarkable how many people stepped up. I'm actually wearing our Operation Ukraine shirt with the colors of the flag. And we just
Available on our website. If
oh
anyone
yes,
is
yeah.
liking this apparel in exchange for a donation, we will happily send you a shirt. Go ahead, Katrina. I had to do a shameless plug for our very cool apparel that I
Yes.
love. Go
Wear
ahead.
your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, this was a remarkable accomplishment. Everybody pouring in, wanting to volunteer. We had volunteers that we were able to fly across the sea, and we set up a camp of sorts. It was like a refugee tent where we were able to do all of these vet exams, and people were able to stay with their pets. That has now transitioned, and we've been able to use money to fund a mobile vet clinic. So this is now a vet clinic on wheels, and Worldwide Vets is operating it. And so we were able to fund it, but another organization doing great work is kind of managing it. And that also speaks to our unbridled collaboration. We can't do everything by ourselves, and we know that. But if we have the funds and we're able to kind of get this off the ground and launch it with them, we'll continue to support it as best we can. And it's nice because we're not just a one and done shop. We never are. We always like to be able to come back and let people know that we're coming back. And that's important to keep this work sustainable and to make sure that, we're there to give that follow-up vaccine when it is needed. So yeah, I would say Operation Ukraine in the last year is probably a huge success story and a big accomplishment. But I'll also mention, very separate from that, a huge accomplishment for us was hiring people. Like, my God, it was John and I for the longest time, a couple of little part-time hires here and there. And now we have hired 2 development directors, the amazing Leah, and we have a medical director, which is so exciting. And it's neat to see our team grow and to have the support, as I mentioned before, of our board. And I just feel like everybody we've brought in to the fold is really delivering, and it feels good. It feels great. So that's another big accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I agree. It does feel really good. It feels like we are gaining some steam here, and we have both achieved so much and are at the precipice of achieving so much more, thanks to the incredible work of our volunteers, thanks to the support of our donors, thanks to individuals like you at the helm of this ship. And I must say that I'm astounded at the work that we do on a national level. And also, when I heard that the Street Dog Coalition was going to Ukraine, I was really shook and inspired and excited, because I think that, and I mean, there's so many nonprofits that help people in their hour of need, but for us to be running toward a country, a place where everyone is trying to get out of, like, I feel like there's something very there's just something very heroic about that, and something deeply inspiring to me personally, and I'm sure to people listening, that that I just haven't felt in a long time. So thank you for reminding me that I am alive. And for just making me feel so happy that these individuals and these animals are getting the care and the attention that they need at a time when the rest of the world is maybe not able to help them in the way that we can. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a village, and we were able to do it because so many people stepped up in whatever way they could. If it was donating $5, great. Like, that all adds up, and we were able to do it. And one thing I'll say is, like, sometimes the world is just overwhelming. Like, the problems feel so big and scary, and you kind of just want to, like, hide under your blanket with your dog or your cat and pretend they're not happening. But I love Street Dog Coalition because we make it feel possible like positive change feels possible, and you don't have to do the big heroic thing all the time. It's sometimes the small heroic thing, and that small little step adds up and it feels doable. And I love that. It's like, oh no, this isn't that scary. We can actually make a difference here. And I think we inspire other people to do the same, which is cool. It's that ripple effect that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I've seen that. I've seen, even just being here at this organization for a few months, I've seen that ripple effect. I've seen people wanting to support their communities now more than ever after, even just hearing about the Street Dog Coalition or volunteering with the Street Dog Coalition. I've seen, donors increasing their gifts, becoming monthly donors, just feeling really connected to the Street Dog Coalition and finding ways that work for them in terms of making a difference in the world. I think for some folks, it's volunteering or donating. And for other folks, it's, doing what you're doing, which is, leading this team of individuals and volunteers down this path to help as many pets and people experiencing homelessness as possible. So I love that you mentioned it's kind of all about finding what works for you, finding what kind of impact you can have and taking the steps to make that impact a reality. So I love that. I love that. And I'm curious to know what are some of the biggest challenges that the organization is facing in providing care for pets of people experiencing or at risk of homelessness?
Yeah. Well, I think a big challenge for me, because I am usually the one behind our Facebook Messenger. So if somebody messages us, I will receive it. And if they say that they have a pet, they're experiencing homelessness, where can they get care? And maybe they're in a city, we don't have a team. That's super difficult. That's a challenge. And we know we're not going to be able to have a team everywhere, but it's also so nice that we're adding, more teams on the map every day. And it does feel attainable to me. And maybe this is like false, but it feels attainable that we could be everywhere. What is the movie that got so many Academy Awards?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah, that's what I want to be. But I mean, I know that that's not always possible. So when that happens, it is really nice to know that there are other organizations out there doing similar work. So we're not the only group doing this. I think we're doing it really well. I'm really proud of us. I just love our mission, our vision, and how we're growing. But there are other groups. And so it's nice to fall back on those. If somebody were to contact us needing help, it's good to know that, okay, there's Pets of the Homeless, there's the Street Vet. Let's see who we can connect you with if we're not on the ground where you are. So
And can I also add one thing to that, Katrina, as well? We actually just received a comment from the folks at Don't Forget the Pets. And they said, love the work you all are doing. Our team got to meet you last week and we're just blown away by what you're doing. So thank you for commenting. Don't forget the pets. And I just wanted to share that with you, Katrina, since you are answering this question, talking about other organizations. So yes.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, one of our core 4 values is unbridled collaboration, because we know we cannot do this work alone. That is impossible. We have to lean on other people to help, and it makes it better. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's like, let's all join arms and offer what we can and bring what we can to the table. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I have so many, you already know I have so many questions for you, but I think this one might be my last one. I think this one might be my last one. I know, which is fine, because that means that we can do this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. But why don't you leave us with your thoughts on the Street Dog Coalition's long-term vision for the future? When you imagine like the breadth of what the Street Dog Coalition can accomplish, what does that look like to you? What can we expect?
I love this question. It's a great one to end on, actually. Yeah. So we have a vision where we are incorporating One Health services into more and more clinics. So the backbone of the Street Dog Coalition are these street clinics where we provide preventative veterinary care for the most part. So your core vaccines, your parasite control. And then if you have other needs outside of that, we have the funds for that as well. What we really want is to reach up to that other end of the leash and be able to provide services to the human as well. So we're doing that really well in some cities. Other cities, we're just at that veterinary care base, which is fine. That is great. That's where we enter and build trust with the human. But I would love it, big picture, if we really did have this One Health cohort coming to all of the street clinics. One thing we've done in Colorado, we just had this past weekend, actually, we call it COMO. It's our Colorado One Health Mobile Outreach. And it's like a caravan of caregivers that all carpool to a destination where, the access to care is limited. And they set up shop and they do a free community health fair for the weekend. And so people got their veterinary care, but they also got medical care. They could get a dental screening, they could get a haircut, they could get a free meal. So it was just, yeah, it's kind of a circus. It's organized chaos. I have to give a huge shout out to another new hire of ours, Elena. She's our operations director, and she crushed it. She was kind of the one at the helm this weekend with John. And so I could see more of those happening, more, I guess, One Health mobile outreach events. But I also feel like, you just got to layer it in, that can feel overwhelming to sort of right out the gate have all of these services. So if you are somebody that is thinking about starting a Street Dog Coalition team, don't be overwhelmed with that idea. Like, that is so attainable, but it's not where you have to start. Start with what you know, which is veterinary care. All of our team leads do have to be a veterinarian, but we encourage team leads to have co-team leads, their right hand that can help with other responsibilities, not necessarily medical related. And sometimes that's that unbridled collaboration. The co-team lead can help establish those relationships and invite other groups to partake in the clinic. So I think that would be my vision for Street Dog Coalition, is to really, amp up that unbridled collaboration, amp up our One Health efforts, be able to offer more to both human and pet, because this is animal welfare for sure, but it's also human welfare. Like, we are merging those two worlds, those two sectors. If we're a Venn diagram, we are that sweet spot in the middle. And it's so exciting because I think, again, to our core values, trust is one of them as well. And I think you are able to establish trust when you show that you really care for this person and the bond they have with their pet. And when trust is established, you can do so much more. So
Yeah.
I'm psyched. I think that is totally attainable. And again, I think it's, credit goes to all these amazing volunteers that are leading their own ships. Like, we give all our team leads the autonomy to do whatever it is they need to do to run a successful clinic. And that looks different depending on where you are. And I just give credit to every team lead that is doing this work. And yeah, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of where we are, but I'm also really proud of where we're going.
Just the mic drop moment of all mic drop moments. Yeah, that's just so well said. I think that, the intersectionality of the Street Dog Coalition, from our values to the ways in which that we serve, communities, people, experiencing or at risk of homelessness, their pets, it's amazing. Because of course our work doesn't happen in a vacuum, and the experiences of these pets and of these individuals don't happen in a vacuum, right? I think that a lot of these individuals who are in need of our services view their pets as extensions of themselves. So I think you said it best. Whenever we're able to care for their pet and build that trust, then we're able to kind of, I think, see a more whole picture of the individual at the other end of the leash. And I've watched that firsthand at our Philadelphia clinics, and it's just incredible. It's incredible to observe, to be a part of, and I really love that you highlighted how much our donors and our volunteers and our small staff and our board members just make all of this work possible. We literally could not do it without all of you. So, man, Katrina, thank you so much for this conversation. If I'm a listener and if I want to somehow get involved, whether it's I want to start a team or I want to donate, can you tell me where do I go from here? I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling fired up. What do I do?
Yes, we have a landing page just for that on our website. So if you go to our website, you can click on how to help, and there are several ways that you can help. They're all listed there. You can click on them for more information. But truly, we couldn't do it without donors and volunteers. So I would also like to say a special thank you
Yeah.
to everybody. Yeah.
Fabulous.
You
Thank
and
you.
all recurring. We are so grateful.
We are so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And I will also include that link in the show notes for this podcast episode. And let's end it there. Thank you so much, Katrina, for taking the time to chat with us in your beautiful backyard. And thank you to everyone, including, don't forget the pets who tuned in live, who dropped an emoji, who liked our video. And thanks to everyone listening to this on our podcast. All right, guys, take care. And I will talk to you soon, Katrina. And I will see everybody else on Facebook Live at our next one. So take care in the meantime.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.